You notice this one's not that pretty. It still has the label on the wine bottle. I was grabbing things fast because we were leaving for a long 4-day hot weekend, and I wanted to make sure that my planters that I have planted up so lovingly, and they're doing beautifully. These are the bargain rack petunias I got at Lowe's. Yeah, I wanted them to make it. So I will share with you all about these little spikes that got my plants through that hot summer, 4 or 5 days, and they did beautiful. So look at this gorgeous specimen. Now this right here saved my plants during a hot weekend I was not here. Now, I'll get down here. Not only for when you're going away, do these work, but also if you just want to maintain consistent moisture in containers. This is actually a galvanized bushel basket I got at Tractor Supply. And they do beautifully as far as keeping moisture in there. I do top water these, but I also keep these filled so that it has that consistent moisture. I'm going to show you right now how I use it in my elevated vegetable garden bed and how that's working. Now this is the Vigo elevated garden bed. I have to say I am super loving this. I love not having to bend down to harvest. I got to harvest my basil yet. But if you notice right here between these basils, I have a wine bottle that's stuck in a spot in one of those spikes. And as I said, I'll share with you. Got a chipped nail there. I will share with you the installation of putting another one over here. I have planted some seeds here. My 2 tomatoes, my dwarf tomatoes, were eaten by birds, so I've got to replant those. I don't know if I'll get, I want to test it anyways. I don't know if I'll actually get fruit because it's kind of late in the season. But yes, these did gorgeous as far as keeping this consistently moist. So this one did beautiful. This is a dwarf container squash, and it's got some beautiful flowers on it. Hopefully they got pollinated. And, oh yeah, that one's growing fruit. How delightful. All right, but this right here to give it consistent moisture, because this dries out very quickly because it's shallow. This is probably 12 inches deep. So the soil dries out faster than if it was in the ground. But this, providing the consistent moisture, you can see where it's sitting down the spike. Maybe I'll bring it in closer. You can see right down here, the terracotta and the bottle sitting in it. And their water level is right about there. I filled that up yesterday, so that tells you how much moisture was drawn from that terracotta spike. So I have plenty of room for more in here. Now there is one of my bush beans the birds nipped off. So I'm going to plant more, see if I can get a harvest. Even though this is like 12th of July, you never know. And it's dead space anyways, even if I just left it alone. Also, I want to plant some cilantro in here and get some of that going as well. So the recommended advice for these is that you soak them before use. Now, I ordered this package of 12. I will link to it in the description box. There were other ones available, but I went for these. And I noticed, now I have bought these spikes in the past, and they were heftier. These ones are very thin, so they're a little more delicate, but they do work. So they request, or they suggest, that you soak them. This is my little fountain pond thing that I have on my deck here. It's in a galvanized tub. This pump originally came on a half whiskey barrel, and it was the fountain there. The half whiskey barrel finally rotted away. I need to get another one. I really like that. But anyways, I put these in the water. I will let these soak for several hours, and then we will go and plant this up. We will go and then install these where I want that consistent moisture to be available to the plants. In another video, I shared with you how I use these self-watering terracotta Oya pots. And I have a larger one that I need to get installed. But these worked very well out in my garden last year in areas that I did not have drip irrigation. And it was funny because when I had it in a particular container what was planted in that container? It was a vegetable. Anyways, when I went to pull it up in the fall, when the plant was done and everything, the roots were actually wrapped around the Oya pot, so it was going for that moisture. But I have this installed in this container over here. I'll show you in a second. And you can't see it. All you can see is like the stopper on the top, and that's how it gets buried deep. These work very, very well. If you want to see that video, I will link it in the description box below. But I'll show you where it is in a container here. And then I have two other containers on the front of my Primrose Cottage, which is my painting studio, how those are working, because they're in an area that's hard to keep watered consistently. So having that Oya pot in there slowly releasing water is ideal. So you can see in this container down here, this is where the Oya is. It's buried in the center, so it releases moisture all the way around. And as I said, with like the terracotta spikes, I do top water. So it's not just getting water from the Oya pot, but that is a resource for the plant, so it doesn't go wet and then dry and then wet and then dry. And it keeps that consistent moisture in there for beautiful plants, healthier plants. So these are the pots here on the porch of Primrose Cottage that I planted with some bargain rack petunias that I got from Lowe's and some other perennials that I had on hand and just needed to poke into pots. But right down here you can see the Oya pot that's put in there, and that is releasing moisture slowly but steadily. And then also these I do top water. So I have quite a few of these because I love them so much, and they really help in these containers that don't have drip as far as keeping the plants healthier because of the consistent water. So I went and got this out of the tub. Now I have it filled with water. That keeps where you have more water once you turn the bottle over into it, and some of it will drain into the spike, and then you have less water in the bottle. But here's a wine bottle. I haven't painted it yet. Let me see, are these in the camera? Yeah, good enough. But here I have this dauber that a friend made me from a porch rail, but you don't have to have one of these. I've done this with a trowel, but I'm gonna make a spot right here next to this. Now this soil's pretty dry, so it may cave in on me. Yep, it did. So, and then I put the spike in there. Be very gentle. I pushed too hard on one and it cracked to pieces. So you want the top of it to be right about soil level. So that's good enough. So fill in around it. And then you saw how dry that soil was. This is very well draining soil. It actually has too much of the rice hulls in it, but it was soil from the raised bed that we took down, and I just reused it and added some slow release fertilizer to it. Let me put this up a little bit. So this is the wine bottle. I don't have a hose over here, so a lot of times I'd fill with a hose, but I have a pitcher of the water. Sun's coming over, so it's casting shadows. And I fill the bottle. Like I said before, I'll bring you back or link to how to beautify these bottles. One thing you do is remove the labels. I soak them in hot soapy water, use a knife, scrape it off, and then I will clean them with something like Goo Gone or whatever, and then alcohol to get all the oils off of it. And then I will show you how I paint them. Just beautiful designs. All right, so you saw how a lot of water went out, but it was full, so it didn't take a lot. But so the water line's right there. And there you have the self-watering spike, which will keep this lettuce right here very well hydrated, and whatever I plant over here. So I'm going to look for those tomato seeds, and I'm going to start some right in place and see. Hopefully I still have some left. I say that about finding the seeds because my greenhouse, my current greenhouse, is in disarray because I'm pulling everything out of it, and that's going to be the new chicken house. And so I'm cleaning it out, and a lot of things are getting moved quickly without a lot of organization. And it's just the way my life is running right now. I don't have time to be super organized about it. I have to be quick. So that's why I say I hope I can find those tomato seeds. If not the end of the world. I have other tomatoes. I just wanted to try those container tomatoes. They're made or bred to be grown in a container, and they're a slicing tomato. They're not a cherry tomato. So I have also Tiny Tim cherry tomato that is made for containers, but that's not what I wanted to grow. I wanted to grow a slicing tomato. So I will try to find those seeds, and that is my self-watering device that I put in a container. These spikes. And I shared with you in a previous video how I use the Oya pots, which they work beautifully in areas where you do not have irrigation. Back here in my vegetable patch where I'm at right now, I do not have a drip irrigation system, so I relied on these very heavily last year. This area is changing because of where my new greenhouse is going. I'll share a drawing of that. It is getting near to being erected, so there's a lot of dirt work we need to do, but yeah. Very exciting stuff. I'll see you in my next video. And I will link to, I did say I will link to the Oya pots I bought last year and to these spikes. There's a mini out there, like I said, and some may be heftier than these. The ones I had bought, I don't know, probably 10 years back, were thicker. So they were a little bit more resilient, but these worked. As long as I don't try to shove them in hard, I have had no problem with them breaking. Now, note, you will need to remove these before winter, before your first freeze, because they will just bust in the freezing temperatures in the ground or anywhere else. So just be mindful of that. Clean them up, put them in your basement, anywhere that it doesn't freeze, and they will last year to year. So, see you in my next video, and happy gardening, planting, whatever you are doing, even if it's just sitting in your garden. I hope you enjoy it thoroughly. All right. In fact, I advise you to sit in your garden and just enjoy it thoroughly. I'll see you next time. Bye.